5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA of the International Society for Strategic Marketing. Okay, well, let's dig in. I'm on a new machine. My other machine, I don't know, it's having trouble getting to the internet. Time to trade it in for something. But that's not your problem. So the first thing I want to talk about was Aunt Jemima. And I got this really slick history. Aunt Jemima has a rich history spanning 120 years and used the timeline to explore. Unfortunately, the timeline doesn't seem to let me get rid of these things once I read them. Bad design, I would say. But in 1890, R.T. Davis purchased the Aunt Jemima Manufacturing Company, and Nancy Green was the first Aunt Jemima, and she was a storyteller, a cook, and a missionary worker. And she actually was a former slave. They said in, I think, Wikipedia. It doesn't say it here, probably because they don't want to mention it, but, you know, that's a really good thing. To be a former slave, not, you know, slavery is a terrible thing. But the fact that we got, you know, it got stopped. And it got stopped, I heard a congressman say that we invented it here in America, and that's just silly. We were one of the first countries to stop it. How do you feel about Aunt Jemima? Here's an Aunt Jemima that's white. I didn't know that. You know, and I really like the idea of Aunt Jemima because my Aunt Barbie is one of the more fun people I've ever known. And she is, you know, aunts, you know, she was single when I was little. And so, you know, she would come over and my mom and Aunt Barbie would go a little, they would have their fun, let's just say. So oftentimes you have an aunt that's a little bit more fun than the rest of your family. And so I always liked this. I always liked Aunt Jemima. It's my very favorite pancake syrup. I like log cabin too. Maybe that harkens back to Abraham Lincoln. How do I know? I don't know. But I know that I love Southern cooking. I grew up down south, and wow, I just love, you know, I love that stuff. I love the Waffle House. Anyway, so in 1968, frozen waffles came on. You know, it's an iconic brand. They haven't had the bandana, but you know, if you're cooking and baking, especially, I wear a hat. You know, I bake bread. I made some dough last night. I wear a hat. You know, that's what you do, right? So I don't think that's racist. But I did ask a black friend if it was offensive that they had her on there, or if it was offensive that they took her off. And I was told it was okay to take her off. I said, should I protest Betty Crocker because she's white? They said you can if you want to, which is kind of the complexity of the issue. You know, also I say a brand can do whatever they want, but I think it's a great loss. I think it's a loss to the black community. I think it's a loss to all of us that we have to be so careful. And I'm happy to hear your thoughts. Maybe we'll bring this up on. We're going to have a little talk about my video on Black Lives Matter. You know, someone commented they'd like to talk to me more about it, and that would be great. Okay, so let's click over to the PDFs and get into the real news. This summer, I didn't know this. This is great. This summer, you can rent a pool from your neighbor. There's a new app called Swimply, and you can go get a pool, and it's about $35, $35 to $40 for the afternoon. They will leave you alone, have the backyard, and they will clean up the pool when you're done. What a great idea. I think it's a great idea. Now, road trips are big right now. Cooped up Americans are hitting the road this summer in big numbers. But if you don't, you know, if you think, well, the reason we go on the road is to get a pool, you got Swimply. What a great country. You know, because I never had a pool, and the reason is because in Wisconsin, you get taxed for the pool, but you can only use it like a week a year when it gets hot. So I'm going to offer to pay my buddy who has a pool, and nobody's ever in it. I look out, I don't see anybody. And I can pay him $35, $40, and I can have the day. I'd even let him join in, but I might ask for a discount. Anyway, I think that's great. Oh, here. This is big marketing news. Trump trick. I put that in. I can't even say it. Critics tweet that Trump is using rally signups to build his email list. Bloomberg did a story on Trump back in 2016 before the election, and they basically said he has no chance of winning, but he seems to be building a big email list. And they accused the Trump campaign of deliberately not trying to win, but just trying to sign up a lot of people. And that could be. I have no idea, but they announced a rally in Tulsa, and they're going to have they have like 1 million people signed up. It passed 800,000 a couple of days ago, but maybe they stopped the signups now because they don't want to seem like they're just harvesting emails. But I'm a marketing guy. This is a marketing show, so why criticize? You got a great offer, you got a limited supply, perfect. Exclusivity, limited supply. Although I would start charging. Just think. How many people would pay $100 a ticket? And that would limit the audience to the serious people. I'm not saying it would eliminate all the gawkers or the stalkers or the whatever else comes to a Trump rally. I'm saying, way to go with lots of emails. I think that's hilariously funny, and I think it's funny that they're criticized. And it's a scary time in America for marketers because, that's kind of the mindset. If they bought from you, that doesn't mean you can recontact them and see if they would like to buy more. That's somehow, I don't know what, immoral. Well, advertising is the cornerstone of human progress, pretty much, the last 100 years. Anyway, but on that note, we'll tell you why people are nervous about advertising. GeoFencing is taking over. You know what geofencing is? Probably not. I was thinking maybe it was like those people in Seattle built a wall around their little city. I think that's funny. A couple of months ago they were protesting the wall. Now they're built one of their own. Yeah, that's right. Good fences make good neighbors. That's what Benjamin Franklin said. Anyway, so what geofencing is you can, I remember a couple of years ago, you could, somebody came and told me that they could get me the people that attended the megachurch that Sunday, the previous Sunday. They could make it so I could advertise on their phone. Apparently, if you drive to a Panera and go in the parking lot, they get an alert. Now, you might have to have the app for it, the Panera app, which I don't. I don't know what the limitations are on these, but it turns out the police are using these to solve crimes, and many have been solved. Some falsely, unfortunately, which again is one of the little challenges to the whole program, is that perhaps they get the wrong person. So defense attorneys are saying, well, you can't just have. It's like you can't just go through everybody's purse that was on Fifth Avenue because some store got robbed on a particular date and time, even though they can put you there. You got to have probable cause, and so there's going to be some limits to this. But there are some interesting applications, and New York Times had an incredibly interesting article about tracking people who had been to the inauguration and finding which ones worked at the Pentagon because they went there the next day, finding where they lived because you could tell where they went home at night. All you have to do is follow somebody for a little while, and you can find out all kinds of things. So I understand why people might be suspicious of marketers or the government or anybody, because this is kind of creepy. And that's why we need free speech. We need to live in a society where there's open conversation, and we need to have conversation. And that's part of what this show is about. Marketing news and opinions are mine. Have a great day. Like and share. Your friends will think you're smart. Bye-bye.